G'day everybody, welcome back to our playthrough of Starfield, where we are just hanging around here on the planet Venus, because, well, in the previous episode I decided that because the main story is coming very close to what seems to be a close, I'm thinking we want to spend a bit of time doing some exploration. We're out here on the planet Venus because we have a fracking station out here, and I'm just not entirely sure if we've actually been to one of these types of places before. So, yeah, I guess we're just going to be checking out all the different planets, all the different systems, to see if there's anything interesting that we may have missed before, you know, tying up loose ends with, you know, the main storyline. There's obviously still quite a few other things that we can sink our teeth into as well, such as a few, you know, side quests, a few sort of larger storyline quests like the stuff going on with Region Industries, but, you know, we don't have to rush into all of that, I don't think. So, I guess this is just another friendly outpost.
We're not supposed to be open to the general public.
Consolidated mining. Just wondering if there could be, you know, some unique NPCs here that would speak to us and perhaps maybe give us a quest line or two. But I think that's highly unlikely. And we have sort of been to various different types of, you know, settled planets where the people are friendly, you know, friendly little outposts, and I think we've seen quite a few of them to determine what is essentially an outpost that is sort of just run-of-the-mill versus something that might be completely unique. So I'm just taking a quick look at all of the different moons here. We've got an industrial outpost. We have seen something like that before. Aerial, nothing here. Titania, there's a crash site there. Again, this could potentially be something that we've seen before. I think the last time we went to one of these, yeah, okay, it is just literally another spaceship crash site. There's probably just a little bit of loot here and there that we could probably see and take. That one's locked. There's actually a dead body in this one. A cred tank. What? I've never seen a cred tank before. Right. 5,000 creds out of that. That's decent. Right, I think everything else is not really that interesting though, so let's continue on our search. Miranda. Research tower there. That's probably just going to be run-of-the-mill enemies. So there's Deimos. We've been to the Deimos Star Yard before. Though it might not be a bad idea to try and, you know, rebuild a ship using some Deimos parts. Sidonia. Apparently there's a big cave system there. Not entirely sure if that's worthwhile going to, but anyway, there's Phobos. Nothing too interesting on Phobos, apparently. Can we even land on any part of Phobos? Because it'd be kind of interesting to land on Phobos and see if there's anything there. Okay, no, we can't land on Phobos, apparently. Right, so let's check out Pluto. Pluto itself is not really that interesting. There's Charon. Also, nothing interesting on Charon, apparently. So next up it's going to be Saturn. Iapetus. Industrial outpost there. Dione. Mining outpost. Nothing here. Titan. New Homestead. I'm just trying to remember what New Homestead is. Let's go there and let's be reminded of what this place is exactly. Potentially there could be, you know, even if it's a place that we've been to before, maybe there could be some...
United Colonies space. Maintain current course while we scan for contraband.
Yeah, perhaps maybe there could be some NPCs that we haven't spoken to.
And we're done. Feel free to land.
Yeah, and, you know, considering the name, it may be a...
Welcome to New Homestead. Please make your way to the building at the end of the path and down into the colony below. Stay safe and enjoy your visit.
Okay. Have we not been here before? Maybe we haven't. But I was gonna say, even if we have, perhaps there might be some NPCs that we've not seen or spoken to before, so let's just check out the entire place. New Homestead.
This is a boring assignment, but let's keep it that way.
There is value to be found in looking back through history, provided one does not cling too tightly to it.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any of this, guys, so...
New Homestead
Just
is
as
a living
well.
history exhibit. Damn powers on the fritz again.
A history
Joyce always seems to
exhibit.
need help clearing ice off the equipment.
Ah, okay. Speak with Joyce. Apparently they have some issues with
Welcome to New Homestead.
ice covering a lot of equipment or whatever, so we need to speak to that person to activate that mission. Maybe we can get into that.
Don't stay outside for too long here on Titan. You'll freeze solid without the proper protection.
I wonder if there's actually stuff back there. That'd be another entryway. Okay, we've got a bit of a greenhouse situation here.
Papa,
Mora
we're always
Munich.
talking about how important-
Ah, someone new. Are you a tourist, or have you just moved to New Homestead?
Buying a home here. Okay. I'm here visiting. I'm interested in learning about the colony.
Well, there's lots to learn. You can always feel free to try one of the historical tours, or ask the locals about life here. I'm fascinated by the other worlds in the settled systems. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, wonderful. What's New Atlantis like?
Yeah, it's amazing. Huge size skyscrapers, beautiful skies, people from all walks of life.
Oh my, that sounds incredible. Ever since I overheard one of the tourists speaking about it, I've always wanted to go. We hear about it, of course, but we rarely get much exposure to other worlds beyond the people who come from them to visit our little colony. I wonder if I can convince Nathaniel to go on a trip there with me and our daughter. Do you mind if I ask you another question?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Thanks. I promise not to take too much of your time. Is the Freestar Collective as lawless as I've heard?
It's not as lawless as they lead you to believe. People still believe in rules and justice.
I figured the stories weren't all true. How else would you expect people to live together if you can't trust in laws to keep everyone safe? Even in a small community like ours, we have to maintain law and order. Though, I understand it gets difficult to always protect that out in the vastness of space. I imagine it's the same in the Freestar Collective. Is it okay if I change the subject?
Yep, ask away.
Oh, thank you. Are there really planets full of plants, fresh air, and water?
I just wish that she would actually face us while we're having this conversation. It seems a little bit weird that she's just, like, looking off into the distance. Again, another Bethesda quirk, isn't it? Yes, there are beautiful planets teeming with all sorts of life.
I've read about them. It seems incredible, doesn't it? I've only ever known Titan, and it's always so cold and drab. I've always dreamed of visiting one to breathe the air, feel the warmth of its sun, but my husband is reluctant to leave our home. Can I ask you something else?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thank you. Is space travel as exciting as it seems?
Space is incredible, but it's also extremely dangerous.
I've heard stories about pirates and spaceship malfunctions and all sorts of terrible things. I've always wanted to try going into space, but I'm also worried about all those dangers. Maybe people here are right. The dangers here are few, and we know how to take care of them. Space is too unknown. Those are all the questions I have at the moment. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day for me.
Well, it is dangerous, but as they say, no
We used to get more tourists.
no
than
pain,
we
no
do these
gain.
days.
Well, I guess that's more of a more of a working out term. It's more like if you don't risk anything, you won't get any reward, right? So sure, there are dangers, but you better look past the dangers and look at the reward.
Did you know that Earth had all sorts of cool animals? Actually, lots of planets do. But not this one.
The lighting in this place is a little bit weird, isn't it?
Hello? I'm not really supposed to talk with tourists, but I kinda want to anyway. And I don't think my papa is paying attention. You're not going to tell him, are you?
No, not if you don't want me to.
Oh, thank you! I promise it'll be fun. I like talking to tourists. I get to learn so much about everywhere else, and they get to learn about here. Now what should we talk about?
Are there a lot of other kids in New Homestead?
Not really. There's some, though. Most are around my age. We all go to school in the same room.
Is school here the same as other schools in the settled systems?
I don't know. I've never been to any other schools. We mostly learn about the history of the Sol system and Earth and stuff like that until we get old enough to go on our learning vacation. That's when we get to leave to go to school somewhere else for a few years, or travel and visit other worlds, try out jobs and stuff. Oh, I can't wait.
Why doesn't your dad want you talking to tourists?
My mama says it's because he thinks we'd up and leave if we found out about the rest of the worlds out there. But I keep telling him, I love it here, and I love him, and I would never leave him. He doesn't believe it. He says the kids almost always want to leave when they grow up. But not me. Nope. I just want to visit somewhere else. Maybe.
You enjoy working on the farm?
I think it's pretty fun. And I get to be around my mama and my papa all day, so that's cool. They say we all have to work a little, 'cause it takes all of us to make the community work. Just like on Earth a really, really, really long time ago. Someday, I think it'd be cool to see other places and do other things, but this is fine for now. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
I don't know, this New Homestead has an air of sadness to it for some
You're always
reason.
talking about how important it is to preserve our
You
tradition.
get used to the methane
But why do we
process
have
and
to
smell.
farm? How is that part of our
After a
tradition?
while. Well, We tend the farm here because we need to grow food. And that's what our ancestors did on Earth.
But didn't they have big open fields and giant machines? We don't have any.
We'll probably have a chat with the husband in a second. Okay, so there's a bigger community in there once we go into New Homestead proper. Huh.
We Titans are hardy people.
Let's have a chat here with Nathaniel.
Like this. I overheard you speaking to my wife Mara, filling her head with ideas about picking up and leaving home. You got anything to say for yourself?
Mind
yourself out there.
Firstly, I just find it weird that his face is like buried in this tree. Which is kind of weird. I'm sort of hoping that he moves so I can actually see. I mean, he doesn't turn, like, I don't understand when this game decides that people are going to turn around and actually face you when we actually speak to NPCs. Let's talk to him from here.
I overheard you speaking to my wife Mara, filling her head with ideas about picking up and leaving home.
Yep.
You got anything to say for yourself?
Yep. Sure, mate.
Mm-hmm.
What I might do is I might catch him on the way out, because I would like to see people's faces when we're actually talking to them. So at least they've got a chunks. That's a start.
It's so cold here. I guess I should have expected that. Sure would be nice to get off world sometime.
Flavor profiles, as they say in the biz.
What biz? What are you talking about?
You know, the foodie biz. Chefs and all that. It's a thing we do.
We get cases of refrigerated chunks and we just heat them up. We don't, like, make anything. You are really into chunks, huh?
Yeah, it's the greatest. Can't believe you're so down on it. We have the best job on Titan.
Whatever. I'm just doing this job to help my family pay the bills and save up so I can pay for my education. And I am out of here.
We're out of chunk special sauce again. But trust me, the food's still great without it.
You know,
Welcome to Chunks. Please choose your chunks.
I mean, it's okay to have a goal and stuff and just work towards it, and that's the reason why you're here. But it's nice to see some people passionate about the little things.
Welcome to the new Homestead Chunks. We've got all your Chunks favorites. Well, almost all of them. Sadly, we're out of the special sauce. I know. But everything else is still that great Chunks food you know and love. So, what can I do for you?
Yeah, I like how he's really positive about the work that he does. So, what's your favorite chunk? Oh, actually, I also wanted to mention that he's probably the most enthusiastic Chunks employee that we've seen so far.
Oh, you had to go and ask the hard questions, huh? How can I pick just one? There's chicken chunks, beef chunks, potato chunks, cheesesteak chunks, cheesecake chunks. You know what? I'm gonna cheat if you don't mind, and just say I love them all equally.
You really seem to love chunks, huh?
You know I do. And what's not to love? It's delicious, nutritious, easy, fast, inexpensive. It sure makes my hungry belly sing for joy. My wife thinks I eat too much chunks food, but I just can't help myself. It's so good.
I feel like in terms of voice acting of almost all of the people that we've met so far, this guy has been the best. There's just some kind of energy to this guy. New Homestead, all about authentic living history. What's Chunks doing here?
Well, people gotta eat, you know? But seriously, I think we're just starting to get with the times a little. And I can't think of a better restaurant than Chunks to usher that in. I think corporate just saw New Homestead as an untapped market. The locals may not eat it, but the tourists love having a taste of home. Don't let me rush you.
Running out of Chunk's special sauce sounds like a problem.
If I'm completely honest, it is. And people are always saying how this Chunks can't compare to the real deal. And I just know it's because we never had that mouth-watering sauce. I've been in contact with some of the other restaurants out there, and they'll give me some. But they say they can't afford to send it, and I don't have a ship, so what am I to do?
Is the sauce really that important?
You bet it is. You may not hear people talk about it, but trust me, it's the secret ingredient. It's like the glue that holds it all together. I mean, not literally. I'm not saying it's glue or that our food falls apart. It's delightful. Tangy, savory, it's a little sweet, but not too sweet. And I've noticed that once people find out we don't have it, sometimes they don't return. It's the reason business isn't as good as other chunks.
Is there a reason Chunks don't just send you the sauce?
For real? Good question. They haven't said, but I think it has something to do with them prioritizing other chunks over mine. I guess it's made at a different facility than our other food, and they don't even want to pay the shipping cost to ship from another store to ours. Yeah, sometimes I get lucky and a cargo hauler passes through with a route that takes them near other chunks and back again, but there's no guarantee.
Alright, well, if you just need someone to go get it, I could do that for you.
Wait, for real? You do that. You're not pulling my leg.
Yeah, no problem. Just tell me where to go.
Oh, yeah, right. I actually just got a message back from another Chunks before you got here, and they got a case ready to go for me. Just tell them you're there to pick it up for me, and it should be good to go. Thanks.
Sweet. Okay, there we go. And another side quest that we can get into.
Thanks for choosing Chunks. Which chunks would you like today?
Oh, it's the special sauce from Paradiso, apparently.
What did we think of the tour?
So,
Very informative. I didn't know about the methane harvesters before coming here.
The Brown Horse Tavern, was it, huh? The food was better than I expected from a backwoods planet like this.
It has a quaint charm, doesn't it?
Just like the rest of New Homestead.
Well, I hope you'll come back and see us again sometime, and I hope you'll consider another Starsap tour. Tell your friends.
I will. Thanks again.
Bill
Excuse
Starsap.
me, Bill. You've got to do a better job of keeping your tour groups out of trouble.
What do you mean?
That little boy almost wound up on my operating table. Claudio said he was playing with some of the machinery down by the mines and nearly got his arm stuck inside. It could have been ripped off.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, kids, little troublemakers. I'll tell the guests to be more careful.
Damn right. You've got to do something, or else next time it happens, I'm billing you personally.
Yeesh.
Yeesh indeed, but it's, you know, no matter to shrug off, though, when it comes to safety.
Lots of history here, if you're into that sort of thing.
Got a slate. Visit historical New Homestead and take a comprehensive genuine Starsap tour. Learn about the early days of humanity's ventures into space, see how people lived in the colonies of yore. Speak and interact with traditional Titan citizens experiencing early colony life. Explore the frozen surface of Titan. Interesting.
Why, hello there! I'm Bill Starsap of Starsap Tours. Let me tell you, this place is full of history and interesting facts. For instance, did you know that New Homestead was one of the first colonies established outside of Earth? It's been populated in some capacity for over 200 years.
Okay. I'd love to know more about New Homestead.
Well, there's plenty more where that came from if you're interested in taking one of my famous tours. So what do you say? I've got an opening. I could take you on a tour right now if you'd like.
A tour, eh? No offense, but Starsap is an unusual name. Sounds almost made up.
None taken. I get it all the time. If you think it sounds made up, well, That's because it is. I come from an eccentric family. Back in the early days of space travel, generations ago, my ancestors were really into science fiction. They wanted a name that seemed like it fit into the stories they grew up with, so they changed their last name, and the Starsap family name was born. Used to be Bramblefoot before that. Their ancestors liked a different type of fiction.
Okay. Sure, let's go on this tour.
Excellent! You won't regret it! My tours are one of a kind! Now, there's just the matter of price. The going rate for a genuine Starsap tour is only 100 credits!
100 creds? I don't think we'll be persuading for that. Sure.
Great! Let's get this show on the road, eh? Alright, so this is New Homestead's main concourse. This underground area didn't exist when the original outpost, Titan Astrobase, was finished in 2130. Follow me. We'll come back here by the end of the tour and talk about the museum collection. But first, let's go see where people live. Now remember, these they have just actors. They actually live here, so try to be respectful of that. While the original inhabitants of the Titan Astrobase lived in pods like you saw up above, they transitioned down here when this section of the base was finished in 2144. Space is extremely limited, so you'll notice some overflow here, but more residences also exist on lower levels, which are inaccessible to tours. I'll stop at each of our destinations if you want to look around, or if you have any questions for me.
Do you have a spaceship? I want to get a spaceship when I'm older. They're so cool.
Okay, so we can look around and then have a chat with Bill. Alright. Interesting. A little clinic here, and that's the doctor that was very angry before. Let's maybe just take a look over this way. Yeah, very cramped living conditions. I wouldn't really say this is the nicest
Off-worlders always ask how I can live
space.
here. I wonder how they can live anywhere else.
Alright, let's have a chat with Bill.
Must be nice to be able to afford to travel.
Have any questions so far?
The overflow area looks cramped. What's with that?
Sadly, it's difficult to get additional construction done inside these underground caverns. So for now, additional populations are housed in these stacks of old shipping crates. As you might expect, this is where some of the less wealthy can afford to live. It's not glamorous, but they are functional and cozy.
Can you tell me more about how people lived before this was all built?
The original Titan Astrobase had more habitation pods on the surface connected to some of the old structures you may have seen in the back. As the colony grew, the base was expanded underground, and those hab units were recycled into materials used down here.
How many people live here?
I'm not sure the exact count, but New Homestead is a fairly small colony. What you see is what you get for the most part, except for some other people who live in the private lower levels. Some, particularly security, and yours truly, even commute from other worlds.
Oh, okay, so he doesn't exactly live here in New Homestead. Interesting. Why is that, I wonder? But apparently there's like a swanky area, even like lower than where we are at the
thanks
moment.
For stopping by.
Hang on.
Any questions?
Let's actually get this moving.
Alrighty. We'll be taking the residential elevator to the farms area on the surface level. This way, please. Let's leave these good people alone for now and go check out the farms. Follow me up the elevator.
Yeah, he has a nervous air to him, doesn't he? Lavatory.
If you need medical attention, see Dr. Lakota. But a word of warning,
I don't mind
really
the
doesn't care
tourists.
for tourists.
They help the local economy.
Those folks in Sidonia may be closer to Earth, but we do a better job.
Again, not the nicest space to be living in. But I suppose this is still a little bit better than that area in Sidonia where a lot of the poorer folks are actually living the slums.
Outpost would have shriveled and died. These pods are sealed and climate controlled. A perfect environment for growing the hydroponic vegetation needed for survival in the early days of the colony.
If you'll pardon me, I'm not in the mood to talk.
I have a chat with Nathaniel
Albert, are you
now.
speaking to my wife, Mara, filling her head with ideas about picking up and leaving home. You got anything to say for yourself?
Yeah, she clearly wants to visit off-world. Why not let her?
Listen here. Mara's free to make her own decisions. I'm not here to control her if that's what you're insinuating. But that doesn't mean I take kindly to other people manipulating her and telling her the other worlds are full of sunshine and rainbows. We live a simple traditional life here, and it's important to the community that we maintain that. Do you understand?
What traditions?
Traditions like the way we tend this farm, strong family ties, early colonial life. We do it all with the bare minimum technologies to survive. Everything else is hard work done by humans. It's good for humanity's soul.
Yeah, very debatable. What's so important about your traditions?
People rely on technology too much. We need to remember how to perform the basics to survive in case we ever find ourselves without said technology. We need to remember where we came from, Earth, this system, lest we forget and repeat the same mistakes as before. We're one of the last colonies charged with that preservation. That's why it's important.
Doesn't give you the right to force people into that tradition, though, to stick with it. Yeah, I don't agree with you. People should be able to explore the universe freely.
We're going to have to agree to disagree then. I only ask that you respect our wishes.
Any questions about the farms?
Are any of the farms that are not looked after by traditionalist nutcases? How's this different than anywhere else in the galaxy?
Good question. It's largely the same, because this was the colony that pioneered the techniques you see elsewhere. But you'll notice that the farms here are smaller and staffed by humans, not robots. Things here are a little more old-fashioned compared to some of the large factory farms you'll find elsewhere in the settled systems.
What do they grow here?
These days, it's a mix of what you find elsewhere in the galaxy, but in the olden days, it was all brought over from Earth. It was a lot of hardy root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beets, and such, supplemented with corn, peas, green beans, soy, etc., which didn't always grow as well.
Are the farms still operational?
Oh, they are indeed. Colonists still cultivate plant-based food for their own consumption here in New Homestead. It's less vital to their survival these days, as they also import supplemental food from other colonies, including meats, dairy, and synthetics. However, most citizens here take pride in a New Homestead-grown, sustainable diet.
Alright, well, let's continue.
Onward it is! We'll be stopping by the Brown Horse Tavern later in the tour, which uses many of these locally sourced ingredients in their cooking. But for now, it's just a short way to our next stop. Follow me! So, the old biolabs are just on the other side of this building, believe it or not. We'll step on through the hallway there.
Thanks
They're not in
again for
use
taking
anymore,
the time to
but
answer
the
questions.
colony has faithfully recreated them as a historical exhibit, true to the original purpose of the Titan Astrobase. Sadly, they're undergoing some light renovation. Otherwise, there'd be interactive activities for kids to learn about how they used to search for microbial life here.
I could really go for some of Anya's cooking over at the Brown Horse.
Pardon the dust, but I can still answer some questions about the old Titan Astrobase biolabs.
Okay, so I guess maybe the biolabs are not accessible unless someone asks us to go into the inaccessible biolabs to try and retrieve something, but anyway. What kind of life did they find here?
Funny you should ask! Sadly, none. See, NASA funded the Titan Astrobase project because conditions seemed ripe for primordial life to form in Titan's methane pools. They tested many different sites, performed deep core ice drilling, and more, yet nothing turned up.
So that was it? What did they use these labs for after no life was found?
Well, NASA defunded the xenobiology program in 2132, but a scientist by the name of Catherine Neely proposed research into advanced colony building on inhospitable worlds. So, by 2135, work began on what would ultimately set us all up to create habitats anywhere humans dared to explore. These very labs housed the computer systems used in that research. That and general storage for the colony. Lots of storage.
You keep mentioning the Titan Astrobase. What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to mention that. That's what this place was originally called. When NASA divested its interest in the Astrobase and turned it over to the people back in 2185, they renamed it New Homestead and established it as a historical site.
I guess there's not really too much to look around at here, right? So, yeah, let's keep moving.
You got it! On to our next stop! Next, we'll be heading outside, so make sure to check those seals on your suit because it's a bit chilly out there. We're going out into the frozen wastes of Titan to see what powers this planet. Watch your step outside, by the way. The ice can be slippery if you're not careful. The goal is to keep people out of Dr. Lakota's infirmary.
We take vandalism seriously here. You do not mess with history.
Yeah, the putting on and taking off of spacesuits is a bit jarring, isn't it?
Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. Powering New Homestead. As you might imagine, generating energy was a real challenge back in the day because the technology was much more crude then. But crude or not, it was that technology that sustained the old Astrobase. And it might surprise you to learn that the same technology is still working today.
I suppose it would be a
The
bit...
interesting thing about this old colony is that it's mostly powered by clean, renewable energy. You'll see one of the methods used on the horizon up ahead. That's right, New Homestead's famous wind farms. This spot was chosen for the colony in part because of its constant winds.
I was gonna say, it would be pretty annoying to always get a cutscene to see.
These turbines have been integral to the colony's function since its establishment as a cheap, mostly reliable source of electricity.
To see you, like, take on and take off your spacesuit all the time.
So, let's talk about wind power, shall we?
Do these turbines really power the entire colony?
Mostly. I'm sure you've noticed the occasional brownouts. I guess these old machines have a habit of freezing up, what with all the ice out here. There's some methane on reserve for critical life support systems, but everything else here is otherwise powered by the units you see here.
What's so interesting about wind power? Why is it part of the tour?
You're looking at a piece of history. Sure, wind power is used throughout the galaxy, but these people were able to make do with it for hundreds of years. It's impressive that was all they had back then, and still make it work to this day.
I didn't think Titan was all that windy.
You're right. Most surface wind on Titan isn't too terribly strong, but here, the altitude and other conditions are perfect for sustained wind power. Like many worlds with atmosphere, the higher you go, the windier it gets.
Let me take a closer look.
Absolutely. Careful, though. I wouldn't stand too close to the turbines if I were you.
Okay, do we have anything interesting to see out here? Probably not.
So, let's talk about...
Let's go.
You're the boss. Let's go. Moving right along, we're going to learn about Titan's great natural resources. Titan is rich with hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. Surely you saw huge pools of this stuff on your descent into New Homestead. I like to think they add to the natural beauty of this world. Of course, stay away from them because, like anything beautiful, they can be dangerous. Just like my last ex-wife's pet. She had this gorgeous, I don't know what you'd call it, creature. The guy that sold it to her couldn't tell her what it was or where it was from. I don't think it was even a legal sell, to be honest. The thing was very easy on the eyes. Feathers, all the colors of the rainbow. Nasty bite, though. Wound up in the hospital and almost lost my hand.
Jeez.
Still not enough for her to get rid of the dang thing. Anyway, there's a reason she's my ex-wife. But enough about me. We were talking about methane and other resources, right?
Gigantic methane tanks.
Hey, can you believe it? Back in the 20th century on Earth, they used to fight wars over natural resources like this and petroleum. They had this whole moon here basically made of hydrocarbons in their own backyard. They just couldn't get to it. Incredible how far we've come. New Homestead is home to one of the oldest and largest methane processing plants in the settled systems. Every year, UC engineers go through a painstaking, month-long maintenance process. That's how this place has remained operational as long as it has. I'm not going to take you too close to the machinery, liability and all, but I can still answer questions. Questions? Fire away!
What do they do with all this methane? I mean, aside from it powering the stuff that he just mentioned, the life support systems.
Exports mostly, since this world is so methane rich and has the infrastructure for it, a lot of the UC's methane comes from Titan. Of course, new homesteaders use it themselves for everything from generating heat to turning it into breathable oxygen via modern science.
How do they turn methane into oxygen?
Oh, no one's ever asked me that before. Something to do with methane-eating microbes, I believe? I honestly don't know. Sorry.
How can they shut the plant down for maintenance if people rely on it to leave?
It's not
To
as if they
live,
shut down
rather.
for a month. It's not shut down at all, actually. See, this place is built with redundant systems, so they can shut it down piece by piece and suffer only a reduction in throughput. During that time, the UC gets more of its resources from other places, allowing New Homestead to maintain what it needs.
Alright, well let's keep going.
Okie dokie, artichokey. There will be time for more later anyway. So, this next stop is a bit of an interesting one. I only recently made it part of the tour. Fun fact, it's also the only natural landmark on the tour. What we're about to see is a glacial spire we affectionately call Emir's Horn. This Colis used to be named after a character in a popular fantasy novel, but it was changed a couple hundred years ago to avoid any potential litigation. Now, what's a Colis, you might say? Colis derives from the Latin word for hill, and scientists only gave names to groups of hills on a planet's surface. So in reality, the term you hear more often is the plural, colis, with an E. You probably don't hear it very often where you're from, because it was usually a term reserved for unexplored planets, back when they didn't have the technology to describe what they were seeing firsthand. Because of that, the term is much more common in the Sol system, but you may still hear it occasionally in reference to uncharted worlds. This planet's full of them, though, and they like to preserve that history here.
Okay, so is that Ymir's horn, I guess? So, Ymir, I'm not sure if that's like a Norse mythology sort of name or something else. Maybe Viking related. The only thing I know about Ymir is that it's connected to Attack on Titan, which is an anime that I've only recently watched. Anyway.
So here it is, Ymir's horn. You're free to take a closer look if you like.
Coals are more like hills. Are you sure this isn't an ancient fumarolic ice tower?
How about that? You really know your stuff. Maybe you should be the one giving the tour. I kid. I'm not sure. I heard someone say that before. Something about the worn-down remains of an ancient volcano producing ice via steam? I don't know. It sounds like you understand this stuff better than I do.
So, Ymir, who's that?
According to ancient Norse mythology,
there you
Ymir
go.
was the first Jotun, a frost giant. In the legend, they were both male and female and gave birth to the progenitors of all giants from their armpits. Ymir even predated the Norse gods, who, as it turns out, killed Ymir to fashion the earth and all of humanity from the corpse. It's a fascinating story, and the horn here is a fitting tribute to it.
Okay, let's move on.
Excellent! On to the next stop, then! So, we're gonna head back inside, through the methane processing plant. Try not to touch anything on your way. We want to make sure to respect Dr. Lakota's wishes to be safer around here. Ah, that brings me to another point. You'll notice the people around here have last names related to where their families originated from on Earth, as a way to remember the past. The museum curator, Maurice Leon, has more information about that if you're interested. You can find him inside the main concourse. Loves talking about it. You'll find most of the locals here are very friendly to tourists like yourself. Tourism is a major draw to this colony these days, and they respect that. Most of them are happy to talk at length about what they do here. Their rugged lifestyle is a point of pride for a lot of these folks.
Yeah, this episode's turning out to be a tour episode. But that's okay. Yeah, I guess we haven't been to New Homestead before, so my mistake. Okay, I was thinking he was about to bug out there for a second.
This area we're walking through is the nerve center of the plant, where technicians keep an eye on the operation. Since methane production is such an important part of the colony's livelihood, it's important that the techs notice any issues and react to them quickly. Anyway, we're headed into the ice mines. It's a natural spring where water bubbles up from deep below, but due to the cold, it keeps freezing as it reaches the surface.
Feel free to look around, but don't touch.
Aye, aye, Captain. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Let's go. That's kind of weird. Yeah, why did it even close? I guess maybe it closes automatically or something.
What else can I tell you about the ice mines?
Is this where the water comes from?
Not all. Some water is created as a byproduct of methane processing, but that's usually saved in the emergency reserves.
Why not heat this area like the rest of the colony?
Good question. I believe it has something to do with not wanting to contaminate the water with methane and other chemicals. The ice helps prevent impurities in the water. At least this is what I've been told.
Can I drink straight from the source?
I wouldn't recommend it. First, it's an active work site. Second, it still needs to be filtered and checked for contaminants. But don't worry, we'll stop somewhere for refreshments before the tour is over.
I'll go see if I can have a chat with a couple of the people here.
Of course. Watch your step. It can get slick around here. I'll stay behind.
Alright, so are these guys just like mining for water basically, or?
I find myself suddenly very grateful for what does your scanner reveal?
There's this guy, Claudio Armstrong.
Another tourist come to learn about the ice mines, huh? It's dangerous in the ice mines. I'd much rather answer your questions than have you going off to explore on your own.
Why don't you have robots or other machines to do this work?
For one, New Homestead is not a wealthy colony. But we also pride ourselves on doing things the old ways. It's part of the living history, they say. We don't mind. We work hard here, and it's very rewarding.
What's so dangerous about the ice mines?
I'm surprised I still get this question. It's slippery, it's sharp, it can break, it can cave in. Those are just the obvious examples. Titan is also full of methane, which can sometimes be trapped under the ice. As you know, methane can explode under the right conditions. It can also asphyxiate you if you breathe in too much of it.
As a fellow miner, I can respect the dangers you face.
Ah, so you can relate. It's good to talk with someone who understands the challenges of the job. Not everyone does. If I might ask, what do you mind?
Minerals mostly, to be sold for industrial purposes.
Ah, I see. I can respect that. We used to do more traditional mining like that here, but it made much more sense to do it off-world, since it takes a lot more effort for less gain. We mostly export methane and other natural gases instead. Anyway, I'm sure we could swap mining stories all day, but I really should be getting back to what I was doing soon.
Alright.
Bye.
Good chatting with you. Let's get the tour moving.
What else can I tell you about? Sounds good. Let's keep going then. We have just one more stop before we're done with the tour, and it just happens to be my favorite. This colony is home to the longest running establishment still in existence, the Brown Horse Tavern. The Brown Horse started as a simple mess hall for the scientists and workers when the underground was built, but it's been operated by the same family ever since. Now, what's a horse, you might say? They were a large four-legged animal on Earth, often used for transportation or manual labor. Long before space travel was even a dream for the folks of Earth, even before antique machines like automobiles were possible, horses could be found everywhere. You might have seen them in old movies or read about them somewhere. If not, I highly recommend looking into them sometime. They're beautiful animals. The tavern's original owner was infatuated with them, from what I understand, and named the place in their honor. The moniker, Brown Horse Tavern, is also a throwback to names of similar Earth restaurants hundreds of years before it was established. That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the Brown Horse?
Any menu recommendations?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I honestly love everything Anya serves here. I'd be doing her a disservice to recommend one dish over another. You want the real answer? Order one of everything.
What can you tell me about the owner?
Anya Seattle is the current owner of the Brown Horse. It's been in the Seattle family for generations. But Anya will be able to tell you more herself. Feel free to ask her. It doesn't feel right coming from me when she's standing right over there.
How could this possibly be the oldest restaurant in the settled systems?
Easy. All the other ones fell to ruin when we abandoned Earth. There were technically older ones on Mars, but those have long since shuttered or been replaced.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's look around.
Oh yeah, by all...
Got any
Always nice seeing a new face.
interesting characters, maybe?
Some silly drawing he saw in Sidonia.
To me, it's... Well, I suppose this is one way to make a living. And if New Homestead deems it necessary.
What else could you want? Welcome, I'm Anya. Is this your first time with us at the Brown Horse Tavern?
Yeah, I've never been here before.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us. You're in for a real treat. We've got an assortment of food and drinks, some of which follow homemade recipes that have been passed down over hundreds of years. So, what can I do for you?
I saw the Chunks restaurant out there. Does it hurt your business?
Oh, hardly. The locals pretty much stay away from Chunks, so whenever they don't feel like cooking themselves and want a fresh meal, they come to me. Only the tourists eat that junk. But don't tell that to my husband. He manages the Chunks. I love him, but he's a bit of a fanatic about it.
Oh, right. The manager is her husband. Okay, interesting. What is this place?
You mean the Brown Horse? Well, it's only the longest continuous running restaurant since humans started settling outside of Earth. There's a lot of history within these walls, and some damn fine food and drink, if I say so myself. This place has been in my family for generations. My however many great-grandmother opened it when the first colony started on Titan. Back then, it was a simple mess hall that she chose to put a little extra love and flavor into. And now, it's the pride of New Homestead.
Let's check out the menu.
Let me show you what we have.
Okay. So they've got toast. Which, seriously, this is not really hard to make. Ta'amea pita, okay? And a veggie grinder. Yeah, I guess these guys only grow vegetables here. They have to sort of import meats and stuff, but... Kiffles. Pierogies. Yeah, I wonder if there's anything here that's unique to this tavern, considering it is the oldest tavern in the settled systems, but anyway.
Take care. Thanks for stopping by.
that delicious smell.
All right, mate, let's go.
Okay then. All right, we're headed to the last stop, right back where we began. Feel free to check out the museum exhibit in the main concourse here. These displays are full of rare Earth trinkets salvaged from before humanity left, and Maurice is happy to talk about the collection. The museum's curator, Maurice, will be happy to talk to you if you want to know more.
I feel like we've seen like a lot of this stuff on our travels before, but anyway, I guess this is it for Bill.
Well, that's that. I hope you enjoyed Starsap tours as much as I enjoy giving them.
Yeah, I mean, here's an extra little tip for you. It was a pretty good tour.
Oh, wow. I really appreciate it. You know, I rely on tips from good people like you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy the rest of your stay in New Homestead.
Perhaps in the future we could skip the extra steps and just set your cred stick on fire directly?
Take care!
Jeez, that was a little bit brutal from Andrasia. I mean, I guess she's not really into showing kindness to people for some reason. Anyway, right, that was the episode really. It was mainly just the tour, but I am interested in helping that Chunks manager deal with his secret source issue, so we'll definitely do that when we can, when we come back in the next episode. But yeah, I'm also interested in looking around a little bit more in New Homestead, seeing if there are any other, unique NPCs that we haven't spoken to. I think a couple of additional activities got added here for us to speak to certain people to try and kick up some more quest lines, but yeah, we'll see how we go on that front. Righto, guys, I think I am calling it an episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for watching. Leave that like if you did enjoy the video. Otherwise, stay true, and I'll see you guys in the next one.